Hello, everybody tuning in. We are kicking off the Ask Me Anything session. My name is Shadab Ashraf. I'm your community manager. I'm joined by a few of interesting panelists. Before we start today's session, let us introduce Vishnu, who's your new community manager on BMC Communities. Hi, Vishnu. Very happy to have you here. Any
Thank you.
remarks? Tell us about more about yourself.
Hello, friends. I am Vishnu Nair. I'm the new community manager, as Shadab said. And I joined 2 months back with BMC. And yeah, I've been in the domain for around 6 years now. So I'm focusing mostly on the ideation program that we have on BMC Communities, along with a content strategy that Matt is spearheading.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hey, Jamie, I just sorry, we were just in a moment to go to pushing live, so I couldn't say hi to you personally. How are you doing? Jamie, you might be on mute.
I'm doing good. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
So
doing well.
we just went live, Jamie. Can we have a word from you of how are you using BMC Communities and a quick introduction about yourself so people who are tuning in live can know you better?
Yeah, sure. So I utilize BMC Communities for a lot, as far as getting help with some of the questions and issues I'm facing, as well as interacting with other customers of BMC to learning more about what other people are doing with the product. And there's a great support system of users within the communities that helps answer a lot of questions out there that in a very rapid pace. So it's always nice to use that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We also have John. John, if you would like to introduce yourself, how do you use BMC Communities? What kind of product communities are you really spearheading and interested in?
Yeah, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is John Fulton. I'm on the Remedy Force product management team. I've been in the service management space for about 18 years, mainly focusing in the areas of CMDB and asset management. I heavily rely on the communities. Selfishly, as a product manager, there's a tremendous amount of insight and feedback from customers. We allow customers to vote and vote on enhancements or what we call ideas. And from a customer perspective, as mentioned, there's a lot of great collaboration, not only between BMC and customers, but more importantly, between customers and other customers. So a lot of great insight, feedback, and a lot of great activity on our site.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction. And last but not the least, we have Dawn, who actually was the person who suggested this AMA session. So thank you, Dawn, for the suggestion. We would love to hear more about you, the same kind of questions. How is BMC Communities working out for you? What kind of products are you really interested in? And how do you see success on BMC Communities? Go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the introduction. So yeah, I did suggest this because I think I saw there was one a while ago scheduled for a time zone outside of North America. So I was just wondering if there was also going to be one for North America. Because similar to John, I spend a lot of time on the communities. I'm also a product manager for a different product, Footprints product from BMC. So as a product manager, getting feedback, interacting with customers is one of the most important things to do. So it really makes your job a lot easier. In the past, there had to be a lot of proactive reaching out to people, whereas every day 10, 20 different people I kind of interact with indirectly just by reading and replying to their messages, asking for more information, helping them, people helping each other with the products, and even just general processes, as well as similar to what John mentioned, always looking towards the future. How can we enhance the products? Looking at the ideas, reviewing them, viewing all the great discussions about them, etc.
Right. Perfect. Awesome. So people who listen to us live or who might be looking at this recording later, if you're joining us live as an audience, there is a chat window on the right side of your screen. Feel free to ask any questions. We have project managers, you have community managers. A lot of guys by now already know Vishnu in this short span that he's been with BMC Communities. A lot of you guys know me. Jamie has been a champion for a long time. I've heard a lot of good stuff about you, Jamie, from Matt as well, who is right now, speaking of Matt, he's on vacations this week, so he could not be able to join us. We might have a few other friends joining in later in the second half. If time permits, they have a few conflicts on the calendars. So I'll just leave the floor open to the three panelists that we have, excluding Vishnu. Um, the agenda that we have for this AMA is basically AMA is a casual interaction. There is no agenda. It's open agenda. It's ask me anything. So if you guys have any questions as being a user, then you'll feel free to ask us or within yourselves. So the major themes that we would be focusing on today are going to be as follows. We're looking into talking about using communities, which is a new community that we have relaunched. So it was formerly known as BMC Social. We would talk about, we'll spend 10 minutes on how using communities is the key place for people joining in BMC communities to be onboarded. So this is the place where you go when you need to learn more of, if you need to interact with John for Remedy Force World, how would you really find John? Or if you really need to even know where Remedy Force World exists on communities, stuff like that. So you can find experts, you can find resources, you can get answers to your questions. We'll also talk about a few other burning topics that is really important to communities users, such as Communities Inbox. We also looking how, again, to finding experts and finding your answers. And we'll talk about this ever evolving user experience that you have on BMC Communities, the things that have changed in the past 6 months, the things that might be coming up. So a quick teaser of the things that you might be seeing in the coming 6 months. So that's basically the overall agenda. Any of you guys would like to highlight any use case as we start? Jamie, you've been pretty active. I've seen a few tweets with Matt as well going on. Any what is your use case on BMC communities when you log in, or what are the product communities that you're looking into? Are you facing any pain points as a user to find something that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I primarily focus on the Remedy products. So a little bit then reviewing the AR platform, ITSM pages, and a little bit of the CNDB aspects. But I set aside time. An hour out of the week to go out to communities and kind of just go through some of the questions that are being asked out there and seeing where I can help answer any of those if I have the know-how or partnering up with bringing in other people that may know that. To answer to those questions. Some other aspects, I really within the last 2 to 3 years kind of focused in on the ideas, the requests for enhancements, because that's a unique ability to get input or feedback into the product space, putting out requests for enhancements as ideas, not only for yourself, but also reviewing other ones that are out there and voting on them. I think that's a kind of a power back to the people or the users of products to be able to not only put out their ideas, but also vote up what other ideas are out there. And as the most votes get added onto there, get visibility into the product management. So I've had, especially within the smart IT space, from the beginning, a lot of my ideas inputted in the product, and that's really, important to see, as well as it makes you feel good that you're has your feedback you're giving to product manager is actually being heard and inputted into the product. So that's really exciting to see.
Right. Perfect. Thank you. So Jamie, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, you work for Transamerica?
I do. Yeah, I'm based here in the United States, in the great state of Iowa, smack dab in the middle. So I've been with Transamerica for almost 10 years. All that time spent primarily within the Remedy platform.
Wow, perfect. So I've shared in the chat box Jamie's profile for a lot of people who might want to follow Jamie, look into his use case. So there's another reason I am kind of highlighting Jamie's profile. So let me share my screen with people who might be looking to us right now into this conversation. Vishnu, would you let me know when you can see my screen, please?
Yep.
One more thing to add, just real quick. One thing that I've been really excited about within the last year and a half or so is the increase in beta programs within BMC products in trying to get feedback and input from customers early on in the process. I think there's a great deal of negative perception within the past of not being able to input your feedback and a lot of bugs coming out after the product's released. Now with the ability to get involved within beta programs early on, provide feedback so that things that aren't working quite right can be fixed prior to a product being generally released. That's another powerful thing. When Smart IT was introduced, it was kind of an aha moment where the Smart IT product was developed with input from various customers of BMC. That was kind of my aha moment is how can I and how can my team and my company get more involved with BMC ahead of the game before a product's released.
Right, absolutely. And we do face, so one of the things that Jamie I do as a part of the core BMC Communities team is we really like to monitor the sentiment and the feedback of people via the surveys that we do. And one of the things that we learn is most of the people, clients and partners or external to the BMC Communities or BMC software world on BMC Communities, they see a lot of value to impact the roadmap with ideation, something that Vishnu is looking for. And try to impact the roadmaps for different products that you can also learn about other people who are influential in their product world so that they kind of get upvotes to their ideas, get an idea to where it could be in a not below review threshold but somewhere at least in consideration. So really good points, Jamie. Vishnu or Jamie, can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
All right, perfect. So here's, I'll take a quick moment to highlight Jamie's profile. The reason I'm doing this is because I like to tell the viewers who are here the importance of a complete profile, the key things that you should do to succeed. So as Jamie was saying about Remedy World or Smart IT, we for you to be able to be a trust, the trust score that you have on communities is directly proportional to your completion of your profile. So if I were to look at Jamie's profile right now, I would see a couple of things. I see he's a champion, which quite recent, that is something that we introduced, so congratulations Jamie for that. Important things for people to note is something like profile URL. He has mentioned his LinkedIn as a URL here, which is an extremely useful use case. It's a very minor thing. A lot of people skip it, but I cannot emphasize enough of how it helps you as a user get more creds while on BMC community. So other users can quickly see who you are, where do you work, what kind of experience you have, and if that resonates with their interest and experience, they would like to speak to you. And you can take those online or business relationships even on LinkedIn, so you can have a higher touch point to talk about. There's a biography where he's added almost everything about his experience. You can see the people that he is, the amount of people he's following. You see skills and expertise that he has either selected or been endorsed with. Most importantly, we see, and we see Matt as well, obviously. Here, was this Jamie during Engage?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So the pictures, the avatar, so all around, it looks like a profile that's very complete. So if I am another user, another client, or another prospect for BMC, I look into this and I understand the recent content that Jamie has been engaging with, the top places that he is going on, and I see using communities showcasing as a top place, so which is wonderful because we would talk about the learning experience as well. So I mean, this is one moment where I wanted to showcase why a complete profile is really important to your personal brand on BMC communities, just as it would be any external social media platform as well. So if you have a LinkedIn profile which is empty, it would not make any compelling impact to your network, your professional network rather, than it would when it's a completely updated profile with the right kind of skills. So that's one thing that I wanted to highlight. I want to leave the floor open now to John and Dawn to talk from the other side of the table, because we have a customer uh, in Jamie, and we have guys who work behind the scenes to make sure that these products are indeed being fulfilling, and how that interaction looks like. So either of you guys want to start first?
Sure. This is John. I'll start. I mean, as I highlighted earlier, I think the biggest benefit, again, selfishly from a product manager, is just having access to a wealth of information in one central place. And that information includes content that BMC creates and posts. So, when customers reach out to me and ask me for something, in many cases, I'll point them to the community site and just send them a link. And they can comment. I can see the comments. I'm notified on those comments. I also post surveys, for additional feedback. As I mentioned, just the idea of being able to post, and monitor ideas that customers post and other customers can vote on. Just a lot of different examples of the interaction between BMC and customers to customers has been very helpful to me.
Right. So one question for Dawn. So Dawn, do you get say personal messages on BMC communities by our customers or people looking for clarity? If they notice you, there are a lot of places where you've been highlighted as a champion, and I've personally been involved in those UX recent updates. So do people reach out to you behind the scene or in comments? So how are those engagements like for you?
Yeah, occasionally people personally message me. I try to encourage as much as possible people to post to the community, because then obviously everyone's going to learn. And also, I don't necessarily know the answer to the question all the time, and someone else might.
Right.
So the more feedback from everyone, the more exposure, the better. A lot of times also people mention me, which is interesting, because I'm reading every single message that's posted there anyway, so there's really no reason to message me. I guess they want me to get 2 emails instead of 1, but no, that's fine. So I try to, obviously I can't reply to every single thing, and I'm lucky enough that there's a lot of power users and partners that answer other customers' questions that I don't have to. But
so so for example, so for the product knowledge, Vishnu and I would be more of facilitators on success, the overall success for every user on BMC communities. And we do have different kind of personas. We have clients, partners, the ecosystem is full of that. And on that note, I see Mohammed, a friend from UK, is writing something on the chat. How do partners of the BMC ecosystem make most of the communities? Would Dawn or John, would you like to answer this question for Mohammed, or should I take it? For example, a Remedy Force partner, how do you guys also work with, say, SPP in your daily activities of how partners of all these products work with us?
No, I'm sorry, I missed the question. Can you repeat it? I didn't understand it.
So how do partners of the BMC ecosystem make the most of communities? Is a question we've been asked from Mohammed.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's not really much different than myself as a product manager or as a customer. It's what you mentioned with Jamie, and that's set up your profile and take the initiative to get involved, to comment, to ask questions, to post content, to really sort of jump in, with both feet. If you look at the Remedy Force community site, it's always interesting because as soon as somebody posts a question, I could literally hold my breath for a few seconds and somebody will post a comment, and it's just very interactive, very responsive. And we have a handful of partners that are very active, probably the most active of people on the community. So it's a great way to get your name out and sort of show the knowledge that you know about the solution and how you can help.
Right, perfect. Just to add there to Mohammed's question, if you were to be on BMC communities, when you look into breadcrumb navigation, you would see a partner tab If you are a partner, if you have the right CRN number, you can reach out to customer care for BMC Communities, and perhaps Vishnu can ping you the link, or I can in the chat window, so that you reach the right place. So we do have solution providers portal, which is SPP, or we also have TAP, and TAP is basically Technology Alliance Program. So we we have a special ecosystem within BMC Communities, which is only focused on partners. So this place would have your content around partner onboarding, trainings, marketing, pricing, incentives, stuff that our partners would be really interested in. Moreover, we have different venues outside as well of BMC Communities, like partner communication, partner awards, partner advantage program, stuff like that. You also have those links, so you can also look into other places. But this is an ecosystem that we have thriving only for partners. So again, if you are not in these, you can reach to customer care with your CRN number, and they would ask you for a few more details, and then they give you right access to the partner ecosystem. I hope, Mohammed, that helps in answering your question. And he says thank you. That would be great. Perfect. Now with that, Jamie, back to you. Do Because I saw using communities as one of your top places. Do you have you been recently visiting that? Because I was posting the AMA, the AMA, this event is posted in using communities. So is that the reason we're getting it, or do you also go there for different use cases?
I would say probably this AMA.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've necessarily delved into the using communities section of it.
All right, no problem. So the reason I ask is this: we would take this moment to try to understand what using communities is. I'll again go back on screen sharing mode in a second. Um, to showcase why using communities exist, what is your benefit as an end user on BMC Communities, why should you care. Before I go there, any remarks, comments, questions from the guys on the panel? So Vishnu has been awfully quiet. Vishnu, do you want to talk anything on BMC Communities level, and then I'll open a 5 minutes open discussion with John, Don, and Jamie. So before we delve into this, because I'll take 10 minutes on this.
I would like to focus again that BMC Communities is a place for our customers to succeed. And it is basically focusing on three things: content, people, and places. These three things are very important for any community forum, a customer success forum. And finding the right expertise or the topics which we are discussing, looking at the inbox, or finding the right solutions, places. This is something which makes the community much better if we organize all these things, content or people profiles us. We explain Jamie's profile here. So these kind of things drive success, and we are here to help you uh, getting into this success.
Perfect. Thank you for showcasing the community is a bigger goal of why we exist. I'll leave it for the other three panelists. Do you have any comments, questions before we move forward?
This is John. I don't.
All right.
Yeah.
So yep. So I guess we're all good. So let us take another 5 to 10 minutes of talking about using communities. So I go back to sharing my screen with you all. Why is using communities important? What are the kind of things that you should be able to see here? And what are the kind of use cases that we would like to showcase on this specific given real estate, which would help in making you, our end users, succeed on communities in general. So just to begin, I'll just take a moment for a starter pitch. The way we position using communities is this. It is the only place where you as a user is onboarded on BMC Communities. So it's like a pyramid. You start, the top of the pyramid is the place, the product that you're really interested in. The bottom of the pyramid, the base, the foundation is really strong, which is using communities. And between these two, you have all the different programs. We just had a word about the beta programs. We have the event showcasing. You've got your innovation suite. We recently launched a new developer community. So all that comes in between. So this place is wherein, even if you're a user who's just started using communities, to a user who's a pro, a champion level, as Jamie is, there's something for all. So if you were to go on BMC Communities using community, you would, or you can just go communities.bmc.com/learn. You would land here, which is the landing page, and you have 3 clear call to actions. You can learn from novice to expert. You can explore the community blog and vote on ideas. Now, the most important thing that I want to showcase to you, where the biggest value is the learn experience. When you come over here, you would be able to find resources that are really important for you to succeed on BMC community. So when I mean resources, you have a demographic or a persona level based approach that we have incorporated in providing some content that enables you to succeed. You can look into section which is called Get Started. You would be able to find answers and experts. So you can start with what's in here for you. Before we talk about this in detail for the next 5 minutes, let's just focus on one thing before. So stepping back, a lot of users, a lot of you guys who might be viewing it live might not be registered on BMC Communities. It's really important for you to be able to interact with Jamie, to be able to interact with John, to be able to interact with Dawn or Vishnu, to be able to have an ID which is registered with us. Else, you would just have a very passive experience. You will have a static place where you would not be able to engage. So it's extremely important. The communities that we have, or communities in general, any communities based on engagement, it's a giant crowdsourced brain, and you would need to be able to register to be able to engage. So a lot of you who might be looking into it, if you find the right kind of value, if you find a lot of great content that you are already reading about, go ahead, register. It's a very simple process. You can still go on this page, click on this link right over here, highlighting by me, and just click on that, and you'll be registered. So you'll be able to engage with all the experts we have on the panel today with you. Now, you have this content where you can talk about how do you find answers and experts, which is the most important theme that I learn, or Matt or Vishnu learns every day, that you guys care about. You go ahead a level deeper into that. You get a product communities tour. You understand how do we navigate site wide on BMC communities. How are you able to search for specific BMC products on BMC communities? And lastly, what I was talking initially with about Jamie's profile, what is the benefit of having a complete profile? How does that help you in getting more trust score, stuff like that? Now, when you do that, another interesting point is, every time you update your profile, or the first time you update your profile rather, every time you engage, you earn points. So there are points based on every profile, which kind of showcases in the maturity level of, as a user, your journey on BMC communities. Where exactly are you? So that also is important for other people to understand that if Jamie has X number of amount, I understand this is a user who's been very active. It's not a redundant profile. It's not a dormant profile, or rather, and then you would feel the need to engage. So it's extremely important that you are being active. And then the last section is mastering online engagement, and this is where perhaps our panelists would see more of a value than maybe a user who's just starting. this is based on a persona which is semi-pro to pro level. You guys are in communities, you're using communities at least daily or at least couple of times a week. You understand the basics of navigation, but you want to learn more. You want to be able to manage your inbox notifications better. You want to be able to get your email notifications in a very optimized way. You maybe want to have a communities digest, a summary of whatever happened in the 1 week that you might be on holidays for, stuff like that. Or how do you clone content or format content in a more convenient way? If you are looking at Remedy and you think that's also Remedy Force and is also related to ITSM, just as a hypothetical example, how can I do that? And then lastly, all the three of our panelists making announcements. So I announced about this Ask Me Anything session going live today, and I made an announcement yesterday, and I got a lot of eyeballs. So how do you push a content right in front of your public so that they're notified in their inbox if they're following that specific community? So stuff like that. And again, definitely, so there's rule of play. So it's like our basic guidelines. We don't want you to be you know going above out of these guidelines. So there's guidelines listed of the rules of play, as we call it. So you can look into the rule of play to understand more. So I'll stop for a second. Dawn, Jamie, John, or even Vishnu, do you guys have any question on the kind of content we have, any suggestion or any feedback?
I don't have any suggestion or feedback. I just have a to-do item on my list to make sure to kind of direct people to this page more often.
Right. And that's indeed actually a good point, because all of you, when you talk about product communities, that kind of resonates. The infrastructure, the skeleton is the same. So if you guide them to this place, a lot of your questions that you might personally feel like answering yourself would already be answered here. So let's hear from other guys.
I think I'm definitely going to have to direct myself to this page to learn a little bit more about the advanced queries. Just the other day I was trying to find whether a idea already existed within the communities, and I was having some troubles, not finding something out there that I thought was already there. So I think that could be very helpful for myself. Thanks.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you. You're welcome. Any other comments? Vishnu, do you have any common suggestion on this specific learning experience for our users?
This is for end users. When we talk about the power users or product managers, for example, Dawn is managing some idea add-on. So for these users, we will have some help content or how-to documents on administering the communities. So I'm planning to write some document and post it here. So that will be posted or published very soon.
Perfect. Another thing, if, for example, if you are interested, so this is a learning experience for using communities. And again, let me, for people who might have joined us right now in like this second half, using community is the place wherein you can find answers on how to navigate, how to best benefit from BMC communities. In the future, I'm just giving a quick teaser. No commitments made, but in the future, we might be looking at an evolution, a maturity model of BMC communities where every product community might have a learn experience. So an onboarding checklist, for example, or things that you might get started with, or as Mohammed was saying about the partners. So partners already has a list of things. So we we are definitely on those talking terms of how can we create a better framework for our end customers, not BMC communities users who are also our customers, but as a BMC software user, to be onboarded with the right product on BMC communities. So that's another talking point that we're looking at. So again, you do have different personas. Vishnu, if you plan to create content, please feel free to go ahead and add it over here in Master Online Engagement. And that's another thing, we keep on updating this. So you need to come back here, tell us if there's something that you want us to look into, if there are optimized solutions on BMC communities that are looking at, let us know, suggest us focus topics, and we'll be helpful to get the right kind of people to nurture the right content that will help you succeed. So on the right side, you also have answered questions, because a lot of time the kind of content that you're looking for has been already answered as a question by somebody else who had a similar question. And then if you scroll down, you also have a few unanswered questions. So a lot of times, guys on the panel, Jamie, Don, John, you guys are subject matter experts in your own fields within BMC communities, and your knowledge might be very advanced or might have a lot of answers that people might have. So we try to highlight that. We see our friend Mohammed Rahman here, who unfortunately could not make time for this session, works for NASA, senior remedy developer based out of US. So guys like him, if they have questions, they get their questions promptly answered. So he had some problems with the content not being displayed. And then people help him to get the right kind of answer, so he is not facing a roadblock in his daily journey on communities. So I think, again, using communities, it's a go-to place. Please follow it. For the new users, try, if you're very new, you just joined using BMC communities, go ahead and follow it by clicking on a follow button here, right here, where it says following in 3 streams for me. So you can go ahead and follow it in your inbox, but be sure that every time you follow any place in inbox, you get inbox notifications, which means you might also get emails. So if you're new and if you're not following a lot of things, you can go ahead and indeed follow the inbox. But as you see, you might get overwhelming amount of information. You might uncheck inbox, and you can just follow it in your connection streams. So once you're done, you can just, if you check connection streams and hit done, and you're good to go. So now you are getting content in your email about things that you would really care about as getting onboarded on BMC communities. So this was one of the things that we're talking about, and we get a lot of questions on how do we build a search query which is way more stronger, like a Boolean search. How can I make announcements? How can I reach the right audience? I can't find my answers. So you have those things over here. Now, I think this was one of the important things that I wanted to cover. Vishnu, I'll leave the, leave you to speak about other things that are important as a community manager for BMC communities that you think creates value. And then perhaps we can have another discussion. We have almost 20 minutes before we call it a wrap.
All right. So let me just focus on the communities inbox and finding answers, finding experts, other points which we are supposed to discuss today. And so what are there in your inbox? You can get the mentions so that all the people who are mentioning you on the BMC communities is directly contacting you, like a Twitter handle is mentioning. And you can send private messages, or we just call it messages right now in BMC communities, so that you can have one-on-one conversations and track it through your BMC communities inbox. Also, if Don is interested in sharing something with me, he can share any content or any place with me directly, so that I will take a look, and all these notifications from the followers, everything will be in your inbox. That's your mailbox for BMC communities, I would say. So that's the importance of having it there. Also, along with the inbox, you have an actions tab there. If you mark any comment as action, you can just go to that place and see. You can just check one by one and finish all your tasks. So that is the relevance of having an inbox and action section here. I would just defer to other panelists to ask any questions or doubts or their experience using the BMC Communities inbox.
So any of you have like any difficulties? I think Don is going to say something. So Don, do you want to share something?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say I'm not really, I'm kind of more of an old school user where I rely all on emails. So when I get an email, I usually then go interact. So even though I've kind of been instructed or guided several times to kind of use some of the streams in the inbox in the on the communities themselves, it's not something I normally do. So I actually did have a question before when you were showing those different streams. It's not exactly clear to me as to having multiple streams, what that actually means and what benefit that gives you. So I don't know if that's something we could talk about.
Is that on using communities, Don, that you're talking about?
Yeah, so when you had that list before, you had follow in, and it had a list of things. One of them was the inbox, and
right.
other things. I'm
so,
pretty
yeah,
clear what the inbox does, but I wasn't sure what those other ones did.
Right. So, if I'm understanding your question correct, and feel free to stop me if I'm thinking about something else. The theme of the content on the list that I showed you with inbox and other things. The way we identified this was we do the surveys. We ask people out what are the major things that you really care about. Based on that, we identified a few focus topics. We realized there are key points. Communities inbox is important for a user who's just getting started. So explaining how an inbox would look like. So it's a very it's a transition from a person who just registers on BMC communities to almost the bottom is online user engagement. So people like all of you joining me today, tiny things that you might also might have just chosen to overlook. So stuff like that. So Don, it is basically inbox, how to find your experts, how to find the right answers, how to look into who's the leader, how to find people who are really influential in your right product community, how to find the right product community itself, which is very important. A lot of times we see people asking the wrong question in the wrong place. I personally feel a lot of times people ask a question. For example, if they want to ask anything about Remedy Force, they put that as a status update. They do not add mention Remedy Force. So guys like John would not be able to see that. And then they don't get an answer. So it's a new user. He might think, oh my God, I'm not getting an answer. So the thing is to foster the right kind of behavior so that you get your business goal sorted is the goal of this learning experience. So again, it goes from a pro level, which is the place where we want all of our viewers to be, to a level which is just getting started, and how do you transition level up to reach that level pro. So Don, does that help in answering your question? Was that what you were asking?
Yeah, that definitely gave me some good information.
Perfect. Jamie, I'm sure now that you've been highlighted as a champion, you have a badge right next to your name. Do you get a lot of overwhelming content? How do you kind of manage your community's information coming to you? Is that inbox?
Yeah, mostly just of course, with any inbox comes an email message. So mostly it's waiting through the emails, and then my scheduled occurrence in a week, I kind of go out there and try to clean up my mailbox.
Perfect. All right. So Vishnu, I have a question for you. Can people reply or for communities post right from the email?
Yes, they can. You will see reply to this conversation by replying to this email uh, in their inbox, in their mailbox, so they can just respond there itself.
Perfect. And so if you talk about email, and I know that all of us are more comfortable on email because email has been there forever. A lot of people also talk about email is going to die. So we're not going to talk about that, but we're going to talk to you, Vishnu. What is your thought on communities inbox as a use case and email? How do you bridge? Because essentially there will be people using replying to email. So how would you as a community manager pitch inbox? What are the things that they would be able to do, and how does that help in saving them time?
I would say inbox or communities inbox is much faster than the traditional email. So when I'm uh, working through some document or reading some comments, if I have to take the key points from that conversation and put it into an email, draft it, find the right recipients, it's very difficult and time consuming. So in big businesses or any businesses, time is money. And if you forget to do this activity, it is gone. It's gone forever. If you are in another stream in BMC Communities or say Facebook or any channel, if you think about something, you do it right there. And that is what is making Communities Inbox very different from the traditional email. Things get done faster. You can find the right people, share it right away, or mention or mark it for an action. Everything is done then and there. That's
Perfect.
the value that I see here.
Thank you so much for giving your perspective. I think John has been awfully quiet on the mute button. John, I'll disturb you. How is inbox versus email? How is communities inbox for you, or if you have any additional comments?
Yeah, as Don mentioned, I'm sort of old school too. I do rely on the email notifications as my primary driver, and I do respond. As Vishnu mentioned, I do respond, through the email. So it's very convenient, which is probably another reason why I continue to use email. Is it's convenient to respond. I don't have to log in, drill into the link and go onto the site. And also through the mobile app. I don't know if anybody uses the mobile app, but I do find myself going on the mobile app where I do see my notifications. So if I'm not on my desktop or my laptop and I'm mobile, I'm not in the office, I do tend to gravitate towards the notifications through the mobile app because that's where you typically see them most often.
Perfect. That's really nice. We getting a question. How about using it from mobile? And smiley. So yes, mobile app is definitely there. We also have the mobile responsive design for BMC communities, so you can go ahead and look into both the sites. What I personally recommend is if you go on your browser, if you use your mobile phone and you go on your browser, a mobile browser, and then you go on communities.bmc.com, you have an option from the hamburger or the menu icon. You can go to those three dots and select that as an icon. So it kind of shows on an app on your mobile phone. So you can just click on it. It kind of gives you a feel of app, and you can look into that. Now, back to John's comment or email versus communities. The thing is this. This is my taking on this question. Um, there are two use cases for every user on BMC communities. Either it's a proactive or it's a reactive. If you are going more towards a reactive inclinations, which is you're getting a lot of questions asked and you need to respond to them, then indeed email would be a use case that you might use, and hence you can directly reply to them. But if you're on a proactive level, so like we have Missy from Croatia, who's also a partner and who was there in the last previous call, AMA call that we had. He is more proactive in his approach, so he has to look into information and get that, because it also gets him business. So then you need to be logged in, look into your community's inbox, look into the kind of content to get that. So I think we're down to the last 10 minutes, and we fairly covered mostly all of the key topics that we wanted to. We've got a couple of questions coming in as well. So last, any closing comments? Let's utilize the 10 minutes to if you have any ask from myself or Vishnu, and how BMC communities can be helpful. Please feel free to ask that right now in the chat section for our three esteemed panelists. If we can help in any way to make your day off for BMC communities, please let us know. We highly value all of you joining us today. And then in 10 minutes, I think we're good for a wrap. I'll leave the ground open to any of you for any comments, feedback, how you want to see BMC communities involved, anything. Jamie, you would you like to start with any of your closing remarks?
Yeah, sure. Again, I think it's just a good space to, set aside time to get out there. Not only just to give feedback and advice to others, but also learn on what other people are doing with the products and learning more about what's available out there. Staying engaged within where the product is going, and offering feedback back to product management, getting involved, being able to have your say earlier in to the product design as opposed to after, when you're actually having issues. If maybe you didn't like the way product was developed, the best way, instead of mad about it after the fact, is how can you get more engaged ahead of time, whether that's through UX designs, whether that's through beta testing, whether that's through creating RFEs, ideas, or voting for other ones. Kind of just more getting engaged.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So Jamie, I'll ask you one more question. As a customer, do you have any suggestions in terms of anything with, say, we have product managers on the panel with you, or we have Vishnu, who is like essentially kind of creating better infrastructure, better ideation programs, so ideas get accepted faster, stuff like that. Do you have any feedback, any scope for improvements, anything that you like to be seen done in the future? So if you have, please go away. Please shoot away.
Sure. I think primarily, as a customer, you're always interested into what's coming down the road, what's coming down the pipeline as far as, roadmaps or where products are going. Obviously, that comes with the legality of how much information can, a software provider provide without, getting into legal issues. But, and that's why I say, get involved within the beta, because there's certain legality type of stuff of what you can, express or say outside of those beta groups, but it gives you involvement into where things are going. But if there's any more capabilities of providing transparency of where things are going and what's coming down the pipe, that allows customers to be more prepared in maybe some directional changes, or new patches or service packs or whatever is coming out of the pipeline, so that we can be more prepared of what our roadmap is from a customer standpoint, so it can align back up to it.
Perfect. Thank you. John, from your side, any the key product communities that you really focused on? Do you want to reach out to the customers or partners or users in general who are focus on these communities? Do you want to talk about why they should care about being a part of these communities?
Yeah, I know sort of the themes have been highlighted to this point, but just, and Jamie sort of touched on a few keywords in terms of transparency, right? To the collaboration, communication. It goes both ways, right? So, as I've stated, a number of us are on the product management side. There's a lot of value here, but just, from a customer perspective, there's a lot of information out there. And, I'll guarantee anybody that gets involved with the community will see the benefit immediately, just because they establish relationships, whether it be with BMC employees or with other customers. And that information or those connections down the road will help immensely. And again, speaking from a product management position, I've established a lot of connections with customers through the community site, and I'm reaching out to them almost on a daily basis, asking them questions, trying to get feedback, validating new features or direction. And it's just been tremendous. And when I look back at sort of other products that I've been involved with prior to joining BMC, just across the board, the community sites for BMC have a lot more activity, which to me translates into a lot more value for everybody. So, I'd encourage anybody to jump in and try it, and I guarantee you'll stay with it.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Don, anything to add or any feedback that you might have for us? Please feel free to share that.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say is we talked about the benefit as product managers, getting the feedback and how you could kind of help yourself kind of learn things and get questions answered. But contributing to the community is also good for your career, right? So going back to that question from the partner, the more you contribute, the more people are going to see, what you're talking about, the more likely your company's going to get hired, and it might help you get promoted in your organization, even just by showing your value of what you provide. And then also for customers. So being in the IT industry, people sometimes bounce around from one company to another company. Even if you're not using BMC products in that other company, you could kind of show, all right, I know what I'm talking about. I have a lot of IT knowledge. You can Google me and check me out and see all the conversations I've been a part of and contributed to. I think it's very beneficial for that as well.
I love the point that you made. And I think we do know about a few guys who've been extremely influential and active on BMC communities, which landed them with jobs. In fact, we also have a jobs and careers page as a community on BMC Communities, where friends like the ones of panelists today, they can come in and get a job if you want, like a remedy ITSM consultant, or developers, whatever roles that we have, or other people having jobs for the right kind of skill set. So again, the thriving community is the one that really cares about each other. We do have the job section. I'm going to ping that link right in the chat window in a couple of minutes. Vishnu, any closing remarks from your side, my friend?
Not a closing remark, but a question for you. We had our BMC community survey, and any early feedback from that?
Oh, wonderful. So that's a teaser. What we can say is what we asked in the survey is primarily we do not bifurcate people by whatever product communities that they're interested in, but by their keen interest on BMC communities. We ask them how satisfied are they with BMC communities in general, which kind of entails everything. It takes the efforts of marketing, it takes the efforts of developers, engineers, IT. So that whole 360 degree, that kaleidoscope that we showcase, we ask them a satisfaction rate. I'll not throw out the number yet, but again, if you're following using communities, the people, you would see a public facing document pretty soon by me throwing all the numbers that we received. We have a very healthy satisfaction rate on BMC communities, higher than a lot of other players in the market. We always like to monitor who the people behind the laptop screens are. So we ask, like, what kind of roles are you from, like, and these are the new questions we've been asking. What kind of job roles are you from? How do you see a value in communities? What are the top 3 things that you're really interested in on communities? So is your purpose to find answers? And I've been telling that again and again, because that theme resonates every year. That does not change. Also, what is your primary product community? So what business unit, what product community are you really focused on? And then we get answers from that. So I think that's an overall Vishnu of where we are. Again, the top reasons for people to join is, again, answers and experts, and that's what we're trying to achieve right now, so that they get their answers and experts in the most seamless fashion ever.
Excellent.
Perfect. So I'm just pinging in the chat window the communities job group as well. You might keep this handy. Of We don't have like a lot of jobs coming in, but you can keep it handy. You can see what are the kind of things that have been posted. If you feel the need, reach out to me. Again, I'll take a moment. We are just 2 minutes away from terminating this conversation. To all the panelists that we had today joining in after an Easter weekend and just getting back to the BMC Work Live, or for Jamie Transamerica. Guys, have a wonderful weekend ahead. Let me, Vishnu, or Matthew Laurencio, or also known as Matt, know about anything that we can help you with in succeeding in BMC communities. Once again, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and have the best day ahead. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.